2, 1.
Welcome back to Two Birds and a Third's podcast. This is DJ, and I'm currently depressed because I'm a Browns fan and currently lost to an 0-7 team in fantasy. We have a bunch of topics to talk about today, so we're going to jump right into it with a little bit of weekly roundup. We're going to start with a little bit of Browns action. I know that's a hot topic. A little bit of Ravens, a little bit of Eagles, and then when Ricky joins us later, we'll go right into what the Dallas Cowboys are doing. We also got a little bit of trade talk to talk about. After
trade
that,
talk to talk about.
Yeah, that was a couple T's in a row for you guys if you get like alliterations. But we're going to finish up with our picks. And just a quick update: Hank is currently 9-2. Again, wonderful job, Hank.
2 weeks in a row, he's kicked ass.
It's been great. We're going to actually kick it off with the Ravens, Josh. With the weekly roundup. Know that they had a pretty decent game last week, if I'm not mistaken, right?
40-0, so
yeah.
Second shutout of the year.
That's 40 points for the Dolphins?
The Dolphins, who had the Dolphins had the second best rush defense, and they were in top 10 in rushing offense, and the Ravens were like dead last in rushing defense. But
is that whole organization on cocaine?
I mean,
did they have a crash?
We'll talk about this with the Jay Ajayi trade to the Eagles, but. I think all in all, the Ravens, they're kind of a weird team because the first 2 games, they looked unstoppable. I mean, honestly, one of the best defenses. And then they hit a 4-game skid. They won 1 of 4 games in that stretch. And now we won our last one. So we're even on the season. We're 4-4. We're still right in the thick of things. We get a mini bye week because we played on a Thursday. So that's 10 days. Joe Flacco is coming back from concussion. My biggest question is, which team is the Ravens team?
You know, that was what I was going to bring up here, Josh. Are you at all concerned of the roller coaster ride that is the Ravens? Ups and downs.
Can I tell you why I think one of the main reasons for their ups and downs was?
Yes.
The $50 million man, Brandon Williams, that they paid to be the center and the anchor of that defense right up front in the trenches, he missed 3 full games with a foot injury. And the 4th game he came back, he hadn't played in 3 full games because of a foot injury.
That's
the Ravens are now, they've only lost 1 game when Brandon Williams is starting. And not only did they only lose 1, we have dominated the other ones that we have won. So I think with him, Jimmy Smith is looking like one of the best cornerbacks in the league. On completions thrown at him, he's only allowing 4.4 yards per completion. He also has some of the fewest targets in the NFL because no one's throwing his direction.
Yep. And that's we saw that in the game when we watched the Dolphins play the Ravens. He is one of those cornerbacks that is now one of those most feared cornerbacks in the game. Yes, the defense, Josh, the defense has always been there. That's always been the number one thing, even though, I mean, they might give up a big game here or there, but they are the more consistent factor in that team right now. The offense is really what more I want you to touch on. I want you to, even with Joe Flacco on there, I mean, he's still putting up the same stats as Ryan Mallett would put. I'm sorry. To be honest, he has the deep ball threat. That's about it. Do you see that offense picking up?
I think with this boost that we get from the Irish dancer Alex Collins,
he is something else.
I told you I was excited. I was excited when we picked him up, and I told you that we signed him. Everyone in my fantasy league was mad because I picked him up in both my leagues way before he blew up, hoping that he would. And I think it's paying off. But I think with him in the offense right now, and then Danny Woodhead just came back to practice this week, which means that he's eligible to play against the Green Bay Packers, who are still going to be Aaron Rodgers-less.
I understand that, but you can't count on him. He's one more hit away from concussion.
But what I'm trying to say is by the time we come to the Green Bay Packers game after our bye week, we're going to have probably Danny Woodhead back, Jeremy Maclin, Mike Wallace, Joe Flacco, Alex Collins as our starting running back. We're also going to have, hopefully, our tight ends back on track, Benjamin Watson. That bye and this 10 days of rest is really going to help our team. And I think moving forward, I don't like Marty and his offensive schemes, but if he can figure out how to let Flacco throw balls like he did to Jeremy Maclin before he got hurt and let Flacco make those passes, and if his receivers can keep up and also catch the ball, which was one of the big reasons they lost to the Bears, was both the Bears' picks came off of tipped passes that hit the receivers in the hands. So I think moving forward right now, our offense is still shaky. I'm not going to say that it's great, but I think our defense is getting back on track. And if our defense stays on track, our offense doesn't have to do much. And as soon as we get to the playoffs, we're an entirely different team. So
yeah, you're a entirely different team, but you're an entirely different team than what you were when you were a team that was very.
Obviously the biggest anchor. Obviously the biggest anchor.
There you are.
Obviously the biggest anchor for the Ravens is Marty Moron wrong.
Yeah, he's weighing us down. You're right, Hank. That was a good one. He is absolutely weighing us down like an anchor.
But
there's not much we can do. We're not going to fire him mid-season. You don't want to do that. Joe Flacco.
Want to be like the Browns.
Hank, we've already talked about this too. I feel like sometimes Joe Flacco got the Alex Smith curse and he was a decent guy, but when you throw 6 offensive coordinators in 7 years at him, it's going to be hard, you know?
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hank, since you came back in, why don't we switch over to you and your currently league-leading Philadelphia Eagles. To the surprise of Hank, but he still thinks they're terrible. Honestly, they really are a terrible team, right, Hank?
I thought we would be 4-3 at this point. That's what I had picked in preseason picks, and obviously I was wrong about that. But it's still not over. Something bad could still happen.
Yes,
I'm ready for a meltdown.
You're out of all the fans, I think you're the most prepared for that. But
yeah,
what I really wanted you to elaborate on was how is. I mean, I haven't had a chance to really study what Carson Wentz is doing on the field behind center, but obviously it's something good. Could you elaborate on how much he has grown from just this past first season, half of the season?
He's grown immensely in the fact that his mechanics are a lot better. I think he sees the field just a little bit better. He's got really good mobility skills as well as his ability to scramble in the pocket. And he's 6'5". He weighs 250 pounds. That's a big man.
Yeah, so he would be, definitely a prospect that you'd probably want to draft high, right?
Yeah, but I mean, there are a lot of quarterbacks like him that have been drafted high and have been taller than him. I mean, Brock Osweiler is 6'8". Mike Glennon is about 6'8" too. So I mean, I've always said, or this season, he's reminded me of a Ben Roethlisberger in stature, but a Russell Wilson in scrambling ability. The other thing is that Zach Ertz has been a good red zone target, as well as Nelson Aguilar has been a good slot receiver target.
Is Zach Ertz the one that got really hurt this past week?
No.
Oh, who was that?
Zach Ertz is still on fire. He's the best tight end in the league right now.
No, Jason Peters got injured 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Against Washington.
Yeah.
Zach Ertz is a bad blocker. He's a better receiver. But I think the biggest improvement with this team offensively has been our ability to score in the red zone. I think that I mean Carson Wentz has 19 or so touch. We basically score every time we get into the red zone, pretty much. So it's pretty impressive, but our schedule gets a lot harder, more difficult. We play a lot better defenses and better offenses. So you never know. I think that this team has a good chance of going to the playoffs right now, but you just got to play more consistently. And we got a new player, and we'll probably talk about that later. But the defense needs to play more consistently. I think the running backs need to do better, and I think that Carson Wentz still needs to cut down on the mistakes.
You're right, but one thing that I've always, if you can do that, work on the problems, work out the mistakes, and keep winning, that's a recipe for success here in the NFL. And they've seemed to be able to do that. I know you're harping last year on your head coach. How do you think he's been handling all this, Doug Peterson?
I will say that I still don't have 100% trust in Doug Peterson. I have a lot more trust in Carson Wentz. My only issue with Doug Peterson is the fact that he, I mean, Carson Wentz is a second-year quarterback. You're not really expecting him to be like a magician and win games out of the hat. But my issue with him is there are a lot of situations in which he allows Carson to get risky with the ball. Because, I mean, I said he was like a Ben Roethlisberger in stature and a Russell Wilson in mobility, but his mentality is like Brett Favre. He's like a gunslinger. And there have been times this season, 2 times specifically, where he's thrown the ball in the wrong spot. Like, less than like about a minute left to go in a half, and instead of slowly, methodically at the opponent's 30-yard line getting the ball down the field, or maybe 20-yard line, you throw a deep pass into the end zone and overthrows the receiver, it gets intercepted. Or this week specifically, instead of playing like the run or not as aggressively on offense, when you're winning 20-0, you decide to throw the ball and it gets intercepted. And you're playing a team like San Francisco where they've struggled to score all season. They can't even get out of their own way. So I just think that he really needs to cut down on, or Doug Peterson at least needs to understand that there are certain situations to do certain things. But I feel like as the weeks go by, I say less and less negative stuff about him. I just know that he's a member of the Andy Reid tree, and I just don't trust it. I just don't trust that.
God, you don't trust the guy.
Hank doesn't trust coaches. He doesn't trust Tim Kawakami. Hank doesn't trust Joe Montana.
I do not trust him either.
Let's bring this up real quick. Hank was recently blocked by Tim Kawakami.
I actually used to read him in the newspaper all the time. I never thought I'd get blocked by him. But the thing is, he blocks everybody on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Like,
that's fine.
Got really thin skin.
I thought that he did this specifically because you gave him one of your Hank.
No, I didn't even say anything mean to him. The guy came out and said that. That Kyle Shanahan is a top 5. He either said he was a top 5 quarterback talent evaluator as a coach, or he was like a top 5 person when it comes to developing quarterbacks, which I wouldn't put him in the top 5 of either. But that doesn't mean that I think he's bad at it, Like, the only quarterback he's ever selected is CJ Beathard, and the guy looks like crap. So, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I mean, Tim basically came out and said, you should do more research. He said that Derek Carr and that Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo were better quarterback prospects than Johnny Manziel. And I was like, dude, Stevie Wonder could tell you that they were better prospects than Johnny Manziel.
I was about to say, Hank, all these examples of Kyle Shanahan, it's like, look who you've been surrounded by.
Yeah.
Aside from the Browns, he's been with Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan, and he thinks Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo are good. Wow, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out.
He said something. He said something along the lines of he really liked Kirk Cousins coming out of college, and I was like, yo. You know who else?
Here's the thing.
You know who else he liked?
We all know that's exactly what happened, and that's what killed RG3's career, is that the front office wanted RG3, which is why they got him at number 2, but the coaches wanted Kirk Cousins, which is why they picked him up later in the same draft. That's why Robert Griffin just came out recently and said that he feels like he knows that the coaches never actually wanted him there. Like, he knows that.
Is that why they put him out there with a broken leg?
That's probably true, but at the same time, RG3 was kind of like a jerk, and his dad wasn't doing him any favors. But also, he was like, the guy, he said that, and I was like, he also wanted Ryan Tannehill, and what? Like, Ryan Tannehill has put up some pretty good statistics, but he's never really done that much, but besides last year. But honestly, like, I trust Carson Wentz more than I trust Doug Peterson, which is really sad because Carson Wentz has only been in the league for 2 years, or this is his second year, and Doug Peterson's supposed to be the head coach. I'm always the kind of person who says, I'm always someone who says that the head coach needs to manage the game and the offensive coordinator needs to call the plays, because if that doesn't happen, then what's the point of having him? Right now, our offensive coordinator has less power than our running backs coach.
And Hank, I think that's a perfect segue into the debacle that is the Cleveland Browns, as my head coach likes to call plays too.
He likes to call a lot of other things as well.
There's a lot of things that, I've been a depressed Browns fan for a long, long time, but I think I might have hit rock bottom this year, and that's after the Johnny Manziel thing.
Hank, as you know, I've been one of DJ's best friends for years, so I know the Browns struggle, and I was telling him, I'm like, what is wrong with your team this year? Like, they're not just Browns bad.
No,
they're like epically. Like, setting a new standard of just botchery.
Dude, hey, at least they were winning at halftime last week.
They were leading a game?
They were leading at halftime. They were leading 13-12 against the...
And then did they not score any more points? Or didn't they score one field goal and it was like 33-15?
How pitiful does a team need to be to feel happy that they're actually leading at halftime? That screams
DJ,
Pee-wee Pop Warner
DJ.
Hoping and getting oranges on the sideline at halftime, saying "Good job, at least you're winning right now." DJ, that's what it feels like to me. I'm so over it.
Baby steps.
Well, I know baby steps, man, but I'm not taking baby steps. I've been in the womb for the past 10 years. I'm not even outside the womb yet.
Just like just like Trent Dilfer says, okay, if you don't win, you won't go to the Super Bowl.
Thank you for being so blunt about that. But I'm gonna stick off the whole emotional side effect and how I'm not suicidal or anything, but I think the Browns have a lot of talent on the field. I just think there's too much dysfunction and discord inside the front office and what the head coach wants. We'll get into that later when we get into the trades. But as far as the state of the franchise right now, I think they're at a new low. Morale is at a new low. People are basically saying they have concussions and basically saying they have migraines just to not play right now. That's what I'm seeing from that. And it's not going to end well. One of two things will happen, either mid-season or after. I really hope that Hugh Jackson stays, but one has to go after this year. The front office, and I hope it's the front office, because the front office is just a bunch of young punks and a baseball stat nut job. So that's what we have right now in our front office, and Jimmy Haslam, the owner, needs to
sell the team.
See that. He needs to make that call. He needs to. That's why you met with Peyton Manning, right, Jimmy? Because you're gonna make that call, right, Jimmy? Especially after this debacle, right?
Yeah,
Jimmy.
Especially, I don't know what's like. I don't know what's worse, like the 0-8 part, or like you almost got what's his face,
Jimmy G.
But we'll get into that later. Yeah. We're getting into the trade stuff right now, but
because that all comes up too.
But the thing about you guys get Josh Gordon conditionally, but I think the biggest issue right now is I think that the front office is putting too much pressure on Hugh Jackson to do whatever. Hugh has just got to put his foot down and say, I'm playing this quarterback, okay, win or lose, because he's got to tell them, if I go, then you got to do all of this over again. All of this over again, okay? Give me 5 years. Give me 4 or 5 years. If we don't have 6 wins after next season, then you put the pressure on me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
that was supposed to be a 3-year plan.
Oh, it's gonna be a 5-year. Dude,
I know, but the thing is, it's fallen so far. Like we're not even at step 1 right now at this point.
Yeah.
But I think that you're right. You hit the nail on the head there, Hank. He needs to put his foot down because every press conference he's had after every game, it's all like mechanical bullshit. He's just bullshit, just bullshit after bullshit.
Yeah, but like there's nothing else.
I don't know what's going on.
There's nothing else he can really say because he's never had to he's never been the coach that has restarted a football team. You know, he was the guy who came after Tom Cable. Honestly, now I might sound like this might be like foregone, but if the Browns had brought in a guy like Dom Capers, right? If they had brought in a guy like Tom Coughlin, these are guys who have helped who have helped start franchises, right?
You're right.
Tom Coughlin did it with the Jags. What was it? Dom Capers did it twice. Once with the Panthers, and once with the Houston Texans. They need a guy in there who is experienced in restarting franchises.
Because you have the head coach.
Exactly.
You got the guys who can do everything scheme-wise, but you need a guy in the front office, and man, Peyton Manning, I mean, he hasn't restarted a franchise or anything like that, but he's been a part of great franchises.
He restarted a franchise.
Well, you're right. As a quarterback,
when he went to Denver,
yeah, exactly,
and when he went to Indy too.
Yeah,
and when he went to Indy, yeah.
But that's the thing, and I think that happens at the end of this year. I'm really leaning towards that happening this year. And obviously, him and John Elway were obviously on the same part, and he was a former quarterback, and Peyton is just a press god, and people are going to want to come to play for Peyton. So
the only issue
go ahead, Hank.
The only issue coming his way is a possible, and I think this is past the statute of limitations, but what might be an impending sexual harassment suit.
Yeah, but that's why that move hasn't been made yet.
Yeah,
they're gonna wait till it all passed, and then hopefully by the end of the year, it's all taken care of, buttoned it up, and then boom, here comes Peyton into Cleveland because him and Jimmy are Tennessee Volunteers. Yeah. They're from the same area.
And the other problem with the Browns is, I think that at the very end of this, he's probably doing this. I mean, he needs to be working with his team on football fundamentals.
Yeah.
Because if you're a player and you are talented and you can't catch the ball, you're a lineman or a tight end and you can't block, or you're a running back who can't hold on to the ball. It all starts offensively. I mean, defensively, it's a lot harder to teach because this is an offensive league. But you see these issues with the Browns every week. I mean, receivers that can't catch, running backs who fumble the football.
Receivers that can't get open.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks who can't hit open receivers.
Ugh.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Hit a block assignment.
I'll tell you what. This last game was definitely Kaiser's best game.
Well, yeah.
He was hitting these guys.
He's getting pissed off now, I think, is what's happening.
Yeah, they need to stick with him. Okay.
I know.
If at the end of the season he gets injured, or if next season, he's not playing up to the par of a second-year starter, then yeah, you get rid of him.
See, but the thing is, and a lot of people are hating on Hugh because he pulled Kaiser, but the thing is, you want to win games, and like when you see that Hogan, when he was driving, he was scoring, and touchdowns were happening and producing.
They look like they had the best
exactly. So what I'm saying is now the season, like what you're saying right now, Hank, is very true, and they need to stick with Kaiser now because the season is foregone. The season is done. So you take Kaiser and you put him out there through thick and thin.
Exactly.
That's it.
And your defense is very impressive at home, too.
Yeah, our defense, like that again.
Your defense.
That's been the bright spot of this whole thing, and I think they did well with the picks with Jabril Peppers, and
Myles Garrett.
I'm
going to call him Hercules from now on.
And what Greg Williams is a beast.
Yeah, Greg Williams is a beast.
And then if you fire Hugh, you lose Greg Williams too. That's not going to happen. The front office is gone this year.
Unless you fired Hugh and hired Greg Williams.
Oh, wow. What is that, Hank?
I don't know. I think you guys need to stop the. We've said this before.
Yeah.
Stop the carousel in coaching. Stop the carousel.
Yeah. You could get a new front office. That's fine.
Yeah. Stick with somebody for more than 2 seasons. Stick with somebody for more than 3 even. Sometimes I know it sucks, but dude, I think Hugh has it. I think it's just because him and the front office aren't agreeing on things. And it almost goes back to the Kyle Shanahan Redskins front office, how the Redskins wanted RG3 and Shanahan wanted Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, it's always been like that.
Maybe right now the Browns front office is big names. That's what we need. Yeah. And Hugh's just no, we need to develop somebody in-house. That's going
to lead into our next topic. Yeah. Sorry, Hank, do you want to finish up real quick?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So we're going to move on real quick to our trades here. Trading has been big in the past, 24 hours, 72 hours. Big names dropped at the drop of a dime. Meaning 4th-round picks, meaning 5th-round picks. Hank, why don't you lead us off with I think the most interesting one right now would be the Jay Ajayi trade, because there's really it's surprising. So do you know anything else about that?
When I woke up and I saw it and I was like, nah, this is a dream. Went back to sleep. Woke up and I saw it again. Honestly, I like I told you last week, I'm not a big fan of mid-season trades because you really have to. I mean, these are players that don't know the system. They haven't been through training camp and the off-season camps, and your really only chance to teach them this is in practice. And the Eagles are fortunate to have a bye next week, so honestly, seeing what he's been able to do throughout his career, I'm pretty ecstatic about it. There are a lot of people who are saying a lot of negative things, and of course, I'm on the wait and see kind of thing because I don't want to get my hopes up on this guy because a lot of times this doesn't work out for my team. But people have been saying that he's got really bad knees. People are saying he's a locker room cancer. I'm just waiting to see, if that's true. I mean, obviously you can see that as being these people are jealous that he left. And I remember when Deshaun Jackson left and even LaShawn McCoy left, people were saying oh, we can do it without them and stuff like that. But I've watched a few Dolphins games, and especially the game against the Ravens, and he just had no room to run. The defense was in the backfield before he could even get the ball.
Brandon Williams. Yeah. Brandon Williams I watched a play where Brandon Williams blew up the Dolphins right guard. I don't know his name, but blew him up. Literally by the time Ajayi got the handoff, Brandon Williams had pushed his guy 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage into Jay Ajayi. I mean, I don't know, Hank. His knees might be bad, but honestly, if you guys get a year or 2 out of him, solid, I think you guys make this move because he might have bad knees down the line, but you guys are 7-1. You're making a playoff push and a Super Bowl push right now. These are the midseason trades you make to make an impact on your team. He's not a long-term answer, Hank. He's not your running back of the future. He's not going to carry your team for the next 4 years. No. But this year and next year,
I think we were fortunate enough to get him for a 4th-round draft pick. I think that's why I was so confused at the time. I was like, damn, we got him for a 4th-round draft pick? This guy, runs 200-yard games?
And that's the thing, Hank. Man, I was telling you this like last week that you need to make some pushes because of momentum. This is one of those trades that that could really pay off later on. Yeah. I could really see Jay Ajayi running in the NFC Championship and scoring possibly your game-winning touchdown to send you to the Super Bowl this year.
And then lose to the Ravens. The Battle of the Birds.
That would be, you know what that would be? That would
the
be,
Dirty Birds.
That would be Chris,
the Dirt Bird Bowl.
That'd be Chris Bourbon's wet dream, honestly.
what, a Dirty Bird Bowl?
Because I remember like two different seasons he said that the Eagles were going to play the Ravens in the Super Bowl. And both times the Ravens went to the AFC Championship, one time to the Super Bowl, and the Eagles didn't even make the playoffs.
Oh yeah, that was you're right. He kept saying it it was the 1 year that Lee Evans dropped the touchdown pass and Billy Cundiff missed the field goal.
Yeah.
And we lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship. And then the next year we beat the Patriots and won the AFC Championship and went to the Super Bowl. But the Dirty Birds were nowhere in sight.
Nope. Neither were the Falcons. But that's really Jay Ajayi. A lot of people were saying that, like, I heard someone say that it was like a bone-on-bone kind of thing. And I was like, if he was bone-on, like, if, like, his knees were so bad that he was grinding bone, like,
no,
I was like, that's not possible. He wouldn't be able to walk.
Practicing, dude. Like, medically, literally, there's doctors on teams. They would not clear him.
I've heard of exaggerating a portion of the story to make it more, but that's pretty exaggerated.
Somebody said he had bad knees, and then somebody probably said a bone bruise. And then it's like that grapevine game.
Oh, it's
the telephone game.
But
yeah,
I'm just
say
hoping,
it down the line and it changes.
I'm just hoping that this is like Adam Gase trying to make excuses. You know, I'm just hoping and praying that that's the case because.
Well, Hank.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hank, like we said, he is being picked up to be a right this season player.
Yeah.
Just like the other big trade we're going to move on to right now, Kelvin Benjamin going to the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills are doing this because right now they have 2 third-string wide receivers as their starters.
Yeah.
They have Andre Holmes, former Raider, who scored a touchdown against his former team over the weekend. And then who's the other guy? Jones? Is that who it is?
Zay Jones.
Zay Jones, yeah. Zay Jones. It's just, I think this move makes sense for the Bills, especially because that Bills defense is one of the most underrated defenses, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And as well as that, I think that he fits in with Tyrod Taylor. He's a big target. Tyrod's not the most accurate, but he'll escape a pocket, and Kelvin Benjamin can either get open from that or he can go up and win those 50-50 balls right now that no one else in Buffalo can do. Exactly. So, Hank, my question to you, do you think that this means that the Panthers are trying to rebuild? Is this why they traded him?
I don't know. I mean, they've been a pretty lackluster 5-3. It's kind of weird that you would rebuild at 5-3. I don't know. Talk to me about that like in maybe 5 weeks. But yeah.
But you think the Bills are a lackluster 5-3?
The Panthers.
Oh, that's right. The Panthers are 5-3 too.
Yeah, which kind of made me like, okay, well maybe they could find a better receiver because it is true that Kelvin Benjamin hasn't been performing the way he was when he was a rookie. You know.
Well, Devin Funchess and with Greg Olsen now, Devin Funchess and Christian McCaffrey are leading in receptions, and Kelvin Benjamin's actually third. And I was reading that the GM tried to use the excuse of they're looking for more speed because Devin Funchess and Kelvin Benjamin are basically the exact same player.
Yeah.
They're both like 6'5". I think Benjamin's 6'5",
and then Funchess is 6'7".
is 6'4". They're both like 220.
Yeah. And Greg Olsen is
that doesn't help. You have nothing on the deep threats. You just got guys that'll be over bodying,
especially because you got rid of Ted Ginn.
But not just that, it's your little Steve Smith, man.
Yeah,
well, I know that was a long time ago, but
I mean, right now, Christian McCaffrey is second on the teams in receptions. Christian McCaffrey. I see that, though. He's a satellite back, but still.
And it's Jonathan Stewart, one of my running backs, just can't get a positive yard.
That's the other weird thing. The GM was trying to say that they want to emphasize on the run game. What run game?
There's nothing.
You had literally
Cam Newton's your run
game. Did they have a game the other night? Who were they playing against? Were they literally, I think, their total run yards was like 2 inches?
Oh, that was against the Eagles. That was against the Eagles.
The Eagles completely smothered them, and it looked like every single running play, they were tackled 2 or 3 yards in the backfield. And since that game, it hasn't improved at all. Mm-hmm. So I think I don't know, maybe I'm just getting to the fact that I think getting rid of Kelvin Benjamin because, yeah, speed is nice, but Cam's so streaky and he's not very accurate that, like, okay, yeah, you want a guy who can run fast, but if Cam can't get him the ball in a window that he needs to get it in,
it's over.
At least Benjamin can go up and fight for a ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like Cam just has to get it in the area of him, and Benjamin can go up and win a 50-50 because he outweighs most cornerbacks by 20 to 30 pounds. He's bigger than them. So I think that this is really going to help the Bills. I think Tyrod Taylor is basically like a mini Cam Newton anyway. Just plays a little bit smarter. Doesn't necessarily put himself out there to get as many injuries as Cam or take as many blows. So I think that this is actually a big, big win for the Bills. And I think that the Bills are one of the most underrated teams this year, but we'll make sure to talk about that in a little bit.
Yep. So do you want to talk about probably the biggest trade that everyone's been talking about?
The Garoppolo?
Yeah, Garoppolo.
Yeah, let's talk about Garoppolo. I think the biggest thing for Jimmy is he's just happy to be out from under the shadow of Tom Brady. I think that's why you see him smiling all over the place.
You started him out calling him a certain pronoun. He said that. He got out from under that.
I mean,
the stigma.
That's the backup quarterback for Tom Brady obviously has to look just as good as Tom Brady, right? Because all these girls are swooning over him in Santa Clara right now. They're going crazy for
Jimmy G.
Oh, Jimmy G fever is hot here in Santa Clara. But I believe that this trade is a sign that obviously that the Niners are not going to pursue Kirk Cousins.
I did say that.
They got this done. I think that this trade is more geared towards next year because obviously they're just like the Browns, 0-8. So I think this is a rebuilding situation. My question though to you, Josh, real quick, is should they start him right away, or should they just leave him alone and just let him learn? And
I mean that was one of my questions that I asked, that should they start him right away? And I think right now it's the NFL. And I don't care what anybody says about tanking. I don't care if people are like, oh, NBA teams tank. Oh, NFL or MLB teams tank, so they can get draft picks. It's not the same in the NFL because these careers are shorter for these players. The players aren't as okay with it. Mm-hmm. And you can't just draft bad people because the NFL is so selective that there's only a certain amount of guys that are on that team, And I just think that if you're going to pick up a guy like this, you start him right away. You get him going. You let him fill in this system. I mean, what else are you going to do? Keep starting C.J. Beathard?
Well, I mean, Josh, the thing, Hank, well, actually, to you real quick, do you think that Jimmy should jump in right away? I'm risking injury just like that to your newly traded quarterback, or should you let CJ ride this out for a couple games and then once you feel comfortable, put Jimmy in?
Well, this was my main problem with the trade, was the fact that usually when you make a trade for a person, when you make a trade for a player of you trade a second round pick away for a player who you plan on being your starting quarterback, in any way, shape, or form, you would start that player automatically. The trade doesn't make sense to me because it's not like the it's kind of like, remember when Sam Bradford went to the Minnesota Vikings, right? The Eagles traded him. Well, Sam Bradford was basically he wasn't an overnight starter, but he started the next week,
Yeah.
And usually when you trade for a quarterback like that, and you're spending a high pick for such quarterback, it's usually in a situation where you lose your starting quarterback for injury, or with an injury, and you plan on starting that quarterback in hopes of getting a playoff spot. But in this situation, Jimmy Garoppolo, I would expect the 49ers to give him a bigger contract, but Jimmy Garoppolo is on the last year of his contract with the New England Patriots. So in a certain situation, you could bargain for him in the offseason, and like you might have to pay him a little bit more, but my issue is the fact that he was a backup quarterback. He has played impressively in the starts that he's played in. I think that he's 3-2-1 or maybe 3-1 as a starter, but that's with New England, and the one thing we all know about New England backup quarterbacks to Tom Brady
is they always look good.
The best one, yeah, they all look good when they're in New England. But besides Matt Castle for one season with Kansas City, they all fall apart. You look at
Ryan Mallett.
You look at even the earliest quarterbacks. God, I forget his name. He played for there was a guy who played for the Bills at one point. From the Patriots. There was Ryan Mallett. There was Brian Hoyer who definitely had like a decent time with the Cleveland Browns. I'm trying to figure out what the guy's name was. It escapes me. Hold on. His name was
Come on, Hank.
Hold on.
Hank, you have the internet at fingertips right now.
This is ridiculous. I'm feeling time.
Okay, hold on. I'm getting it. JP Lossman.
Oh, right. I didn't get to finish my song, but that's okay. Good job, Hank.
You found it.
You should upgrade Comcast and get
that. Exactly. But like, that's what we worry about.
Jimmy G trade, fantastic for the 49er organization. I think, if this pans out, this could be one of the greater trades that John Lynch could make his name. It's what could happen.
The positive aspect, like the only positive aspect I could see that if this trade doesn't do well is the fact that they have another second round pick.
Exactly. I think it's well worth the trade. They could have got the price would have been higher at draft day for Jimmy. You probably give him a first and a third. So now you got him for a second. I think it was a good deal by an experience. John Lynch, man. I think John Lynch is the answer there.
And who knows what else they're gonna fiddle around with?
Why not?
At this point. Well, because Jimmy G is not going to come in and rattle off 8 wins.
No, he's not.
They're not going to all of a sudden go from 0-8 to 8.
I think they just want to see this combination between Shanahan and Garoppolo and see what perspires from that. But what I really do want to touch on real quick before we jump into our picks is the debacle trade that happened with the Browns and the Bengals. The Browns were trying to trade a second and third round pick for A.J. McCarron?
I think a second round pick this year and like a fourth round pick next year or something like that. Yeah, but 2 picks.
2 picks.
2 picks for backup quarterback.
Guys, I don't know if you remember me telling you about this, but I told everybody at the beginning of the year that I wanted McCarron. It was either Garoppolo or McCarron. I wanted especially because Hugh, he's a protege under him, and I thought that was a perfect fit. Office file the paperwork properly, and that's what transpired.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
I can't begin to tell you how pitiful this front office is, and that's why I brought them up in the beginning of the podcast, because I want them gone. there's so much discord between Hugh and the front office. Personally, Hank, I want my front office because my front office was an experiment. You're putting DePodesta from baseball, the whole Moneyball situation, to see if it would work. Well, obviously, it's not working out. Mm-hmm. I believe more in Hugh than I do my front office. I just want your guys' thoughts on the whole thing.
I would too. I think Hugh's being made look like a stooge. Like they're just putting him out there and being like, hey, sorry. We're gonna force you to make these moves, and if they don't work, we're just gonna put your face on it because you're the coach. And that's
right. You never even see DePodesta's face. Never.
Yeah.
He's the GM. You never see him up there talking. Yeah. It's always Sashi.
Yeah. It's a sad situation that, I said a while ago that it really wasn't that funny anymore. I mean, everyone makes jokes about it, but it's like, when is it gonna be over?
Stop. When is this carousel of hell gonna stop, man?
It's like DJs in.
It gets to the point where
it's like DJs in purgatory. Like he wakes up every Sunday and he's like, "Oh, we lost." Did you watch that? Did you wake up early to watch that
Yes,
game?
I watched it, man. Oh my god, I watch it every Sunday at my desk at work. I hope my work isn't listening to this right now.
hopefully,
I get up in the morning. I put my dress pants on. I do up my hair, and I'm like, I feel good. This feels like a win today. And now I got the spirit going into it. It's the first half. I'm like, oh, interception.
Hopefully
for a touchdown.
Hopefully your work doesn't check your internet history. Isn't that one of those?
I delete it instantaneously, but I know it's still there for them to see if they really wanted to. But to be honest, I'm the only one at the whole property that works on a Sunday, so they could go themselves at that point. But thanks for in my dismay.
Yeah.
That is Browns franchise, guys. But I think it's going to be the time that we move on to our picks for the week.
We still have.
Oh, we do. What do we have?
We have one more topic.
What's the last topic?
We have the brightest.
And the bleakest. You're right. I am very sorry. Brightest.
We got the brightest and the bleakest right now.
Why don't we just talk about the brightest? Because y'all know what the bleakest.
No, because I want to cover some of these teams on the bleakest, because some of these teams that are running on the bleak list right now, looking bad, are teams that some of us picked to win their division, to make it to the playoffs. And right now,
can I start?
They are doing the complete opposite.
Can I start with the bleakest?
Yeah, Hank, please go ahead. Start with one of them. The
bleakest, unfortunately, goes to the Green Bay Packers. I think that the Green Bay Packers are a team, and again, I'm not saying that they're gonna do poorly, but I mean, you lose Aaron Rodgers, McCarthy doesn't seem to have that much confidence in Hundley. Apparently, they tried to go out and
trade
and try to grab a quarterback via trade. It's just I think that McCarthy's a good coach. I just think that mid-season is probably the worst part of his game, and unfortunately, you lose a future Hall of Famer like Aaron Rodgers for possibly a season. But I think this is a really good time to develop Brett Hundley. It just seems like they're giving up on him way too fast. I don't think he has. Honestly, I don't think he has anything.
He has no experience. People are so. You know what the problem is? Is that nowadays everyone wants to be instant gratification. Yep. They just want to see, if you're going to put somebody in, they better win right away. Why?
Yeah.
That's not how it works. They're playing at an incredibly high level, and they're playing the most difficult position at that incredibly high level. And you're asking these guys guy like Hundley, he started one game and people are like, oh my God, he's a bust. Why? Because he's not Aaron Rodgers? No one's Aaron Rodgers.
At the same time, McCarthy seems to be very hesitant in giving Hundley the keys to the car. He seems like that. He seems like the father of the 16-and-a-half-year-old kid, and they're like, Dad, I want to drive the Beamer, or I want to drive the Ferrari. And McCarthy just seems to be like holding on to those keys. He's like, well, you can drive, you can drive down the block and back. You can drive around the parking lot. You can, you can drive with your mother in the car, but you can't drive with yourself, and you can't drive any long distances.
Yeah, I think it's because McCarthy. I mean, he might be scared to be exposed. I hate to say this. Everyone says McCarthy is an incredible coach, but honestly, I think most of Aaron Rodgers' big wins that we all remember, they're not because of McCarthy's coaching. They're because he scrambles out of a pocket on a play that was drawn up by the coaching staff that didn't work, but Aaron Rodgers makes something work.
Yeah.
And I think that with a guy like Brett Hundley, who's never going to be Aaron Rodgers, it exposes some coaches. And some coaches, aside from Belichick, but some coaches with really, really good quarterbacks can sometimes get away with being called like incredible play callers when really you look at a play and it's like, that was actually a broken play. No one got open like they were supposed to. Aaron Rodgers somehow escaped a sack, rolled out to his left, and made a perfect throw to the sideline, which most right-hand quarterbacks can't do. That's not going to happen with everybody.
His throws literally boggle minds. He's like in the past 3 years.
And that's what I'm saying is that I think people don't realize that when you have a guy – here's always my debate when people talk about elite. If you have to question if they're elite, they're not elite, which means there's like 3 elite people.
Yeah.
There's Tom Brady, there's Drew Brees, and there's Aaron Rodgers right now that I will say absolutely are elite because everyone else you can argue.
Yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers, and I'm sorry, we're jumping a little bit off topic here, but Aaron Rodgers, you think of Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. You don't think of Tom Brady as a guy who's going to put pinpoint accuracy. You think of Tom Brady as going to drive you down.
He's going to pick apart. He's going to pick apart. Hitting here and there, Rodgers, 10, 15.
He has like Don Elway and Montana, all one just. Doesn't matter if he's fading away.
Escapability of Steve Young. Being able to throw on the run.
It's unbelievable. I mean, just last year in the NFC, the NFC divisional round when he made that throw to Jared Cook, that I knew once he fell down with the ball in his hand, it was going to be complete because it's Aaron Rodgers.
That's one of the plays that I was talking about where the great plays that I think of Aaron Rodgers making in his career – broken plays or Hail Marys. Nothing to do with coaching.
Nothing.
He's not winning games because of his coaching. He is winning games because he's mother-loving Aaron Rodgers.
We underappreciate it, I feel. Because he doesn't win Super Bowls. And that's what everybody
else has won.
He has
Joe Flacco has as many as him.
I understand that, but like He's always had the least. He's always. I know we've had Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, and previous Donald Driver, all those other guys. But he's always had, to be honest, the least really around him defensively. I know he's had Clay. Okay, but
B.J. Raji.
And I know that there's other players, but he's never had a complete. Like it's always been about him trying to get in there.
It's him winning games because you're right. The games that the Packers win, the scores are like 28-30.
It's always offensive.
It's like he's never winning. He's never winning a game like, and I'm just using this as an example, but he's not winning the Joe Flacco games where it's a grinder and Joe Flacco helps the offense.
Basically, just puts it on the
get to 15-12.
Yeah,
18-15. Those lower scoring games.
It's always big with.
It's always Aaron Rodgers. The defense is just go ahead, score on us. Aaron Rodgers is like, fine, let me pick your defense apart, make you guys look silly.
It doesn't matter.
You gave me the ball with 1 minute and 20 seconds left. Okay, good night.
He could have it for 6 seconds on the 40-yard line on the other side of the 50 and still throw a
perfect Hail Mary. Right at the back so the guy can lean back, coffin of the end zone with his toes out like a ballerina, just falling backwards and land in his hand.
Yeah. Anyways, we're going to put a stop to this conversation right now, Hank. We have another one that you want to bring up for another bleakest, or do you want to go brightest here?
No, I'll just do bleakest because I think we should move on. But
Yeah,
you guys do yours. You guys do yours.
I think the bleakest team in my outlook right now is the Bucks. I thought the Bucks were trending so up at the beginning of the year. The way they ended last year, the way they started this year, the way that Doug Martin comes back and they're so close to beating the Patriots that game, and you're thinking like, wow, this is the team that I thought. And now you start to look at them and they just look incomplete, which is weird because they should be completely complete. I mean, they have great linebackers. They have Gerald McCoy, who's one of the best defensive players in the league right now. They have Jameis Winston, who honestly I think is a great quarterback and would do well on any team in any system because he's Jameis Winston, kind of a gunslinger. But then you have Mike Evans, one of the best wide receivers in the league, and most people don't talk about how him and Odell Beckham from the same draft have put up almost mirrored numbers. Odell's missed more games, but and then you have Doug Martin, the muscle hamster. I know he doesn't like being called that, but this team should be scary. And week in and week out, you just watch them and the wins that they get, you're like, you barely got that.
Yeah.
And I think it's just tough to watch this team that has so much promise. And the thing is that it's not like old guys that you're scared are going to retire. It's like, you guys are a young team with so much young talent. How can you not make this all work out? Maybe it's veteran leadership, but Gerald McCoy's a veteran at this point. You know what I mean? Like, but where is this leadership that this team needs? It's not coming from the coach.
Yeah.
It's
evident that they messed up in getting rid of Lovey. They were worried about losing their offensive coordinator, and like they lost Lovey. They lost Lovey Smith, and I think that's a big issue with them because Jameis is getting injured a lot, and their kicking has been really bad as well. So, you're right. It's bleak, and I think we all were. Well, I mean, you and I were pretty all in with the Buccaneers, Josh, but.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, we just talked about it. I thought they had all the talent. They have all the talent in the world to be a great team. Mm-hmm. They have it all right there, and I think that's what makes them, in my eyes. There's tons of teams we can pick from this year that are bleak. We got the Titans, the Colts, the Raiders. Yeah. There's so many teams. The Broncos. We can go through each division and find teams that we thought were going to do good. But to me, the Buccaneers are the most glaring because last year they finished so strong and they didn't really lose that much in the offseason. Yeah. And I think that's why it's so bewildering that they are in the situation they're in, just kind of looking at a darker road than a brighter road.
Yeah. Real quick, don't you think that since you brought up like people that we thought were going to do good and didn't do well, what about the Jaguars?
You want to talk about your brightest team and then we'll move on?
Brightest team. Well, because DJ's going to be the one, because this is the bright spot in his football season right now, because as we mentioned, he's a Browns fan. So the preseason pick'ems.
Hey, so we had there was one team, because of how I picked my my records for the teams in the divisions, it didn't make sense for me to have, for some reason, a team 10-6. I told you that the Jaguars are going to be 10-6, and that's been my like Josh said, my bright spot in the whole year this year. So I'm going to ride on this and saying Jacksonville with that potent, underrated defense.
It's not underrated anymore.
It's not.
I picked that.
Everyone knows it.
I picked that.
And they just got better.
I picked up that potent, underrated defense for fantasy. They're my
Good
fantasy
job.
defense.
Maybe that's why the Long Green Johnson finally won.
I think that's right, because I put in a waiver claim for that same defense, and it looks like Hank, because he hasn't won a game, picked up that option.
No. The Jaguars. I actually think I picked them up in my other league, in the OG league.
Okay, but anyways, I feel that Jacksonville is the bright spot. I feel for my team, and I think they're going to win the division this year.
I think that their defense is absolutely 100% And I think it's funny because played just like everyone thought Blake Bortles was going to play. But aside from DJ, everyone thought this team's going to be mediocre because of Blake Bortles.
There was dumpster fires.
And then you lose Allen Robinson at the beginning of the year. And then you think your season's over.
I think
here's the thing. This team, here's one thing that no one's talking about, and it's because there's another rookie who's a 4th-round pick coming out of Toledo who plays for the Kansas City Chiefs named Kareem Hunt, who is blowing up everything. Aside from Kareem Hunt, though, if you literally look at everything, Leonard Fournette is the runner-up for Rookie of the Year right now. Rookie MVP. Look at the things that this guy has done on the team. You don't have to on Blake Bortles. You can trust Leonard Fournette is going to run the ball and get you points and control the clock, get your defense off the field, give him the ball literally 3 out of 5 plays, and you're going to get 2 or 3 first downs out of those 5 plays. That guy is just going to get you first downs, give your defense a rest, take the pressure off Blake Bortles. That's what makes teams great.
Yeah.
And they're making Blake Bortles look really good. That defense is.
Yeah, when you have a great running game, your quarterback always looks better. Yeah. When the Ravens had Ray Rice and they were running the ball really, really well every single year, no one cares who your quarterback is. They don't care. No one was saying Joe Flacco is bad. They're just saying he's bad right now because they can't win games.
Well, I think that running back is going to change that for him, and he's going to get an open field after soon because they're going to start stacking the box on that little tiny Marshawn Lynch character you got back there. But, guys, I think this might be the time to transition to our picks.
All right. I've got the picks and I've got the teams in front of me. So I'll do the rookie thing.
So, yeah, perfect. So I just want to do a quick update where we're at from last week. It looks like Hank has gone 9-2. 9-2, Hank. Again, you should have bet money, and I'll keep saying it every week.
He actually finally said it this week.
10-2.
He actually said he's like, oh well, I should have bet money.
Yeah. But if I would have bet money,
we got Hank at 10-2. We got Josh at 9-3. Or did you pick yes this week on the Monday Night Football? Did you win this?
Who played Monday Night Football?
Denver.
I'm completely drawing a blank right now. Denver and Kansas City. Kansas City winning.
I picked Kansas City.
I picked Kansas City. I have the picks right here.
I think that was a sweep.
Yeah, we all picked. Ricky's the only one who picked the Broncos.
So he went 8-4. Josh went 9-3. DJ went 6-7, and Hank went 10-2. I don't have the scores all added up for that. We'll come back to you guys next week for that. But to start off, Hank, why don't you go ahead and lead us off and tell us.
So the Thursday night football game, the Color Rush game, is the Buffalo Bills at the New York Jets.
I'm going to go ahead and go with the Buffalo Bills. Let's ride that win streak. No, not a win streak, but let's ride that wave right now.
I'm going to go with the New York Jets at home. Just because
you would.
Not because I have a problem with the Bills. I think that they've come up with a really good offense, but the Jets have actually played pretty damn well at home. Defensively. And Josh McCown's on a roll. He's looking like he did back in 2013.
That's true. Hey, and Josh, what do you have?
I have the Bills winning this one, guys.
All right. So speak
up a little bit. You're coming in a little quiet on my end. Sorry.
All right. No worries. So the first Sunday game is the Baltimore Ravens at the Tennessee Titans.
Well, I will tell you guys why I think the Ravens are going to win. The Titans were actually, when we were just talking about our last subject, the bleakest and the brightest. Titans are on my bleakest list because we expected so much more out of that offense. We expected so much more out of that defense as well. And I think that team's on a bit of a struggle right now. And I think that the Ravens, especially because Joe Flacco has actually been cleared out of the concussion protocol, he's completely healthy. Iron Man Joe has literally only missed games because he tore his ACL. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to go in. I think we're going to get a big win on the road before our bye week. Our team can get rested up. I'm going for the Ravens.
I'm You go first, TJ.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go. I said this last week. If the Ravens didn't come through for me, I wouldn't pick them again. But they came through for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Ravens this week.
I'm going to pick the Ravens, a 16-13 game. Marcus Mariota has been very disappointing this season with 4 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns. And they haven't gotten that much out of everything.
He said 16-13, Josh. Write that down, please.
16-13 Ravens over the Titans.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be close until the very last drive. And
Justin Tucker wins.
Justin Tucker is gonna kick like a 50-yard field goal.
Break the NFL record.
It's gonna go
65-yarder.
It's gonna go. It'll go straight down the middle.
I don't think it'll be a 65-yarder. I think they'll make it to around like the 32, 33-yard line. Kick a field goal. They'll ice him. They'll try to ice him, but he'll make it.
Well, especially because the Titans' defense doesn't look nearly as rush defense doesn't look nearly as formidable as we thought, and Alex Collins is going to look good.
I know more like the rush offense hasn't looked that good. All right, so
next one.
Moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints.
Ooh. Hank, why don't you start? Because I've been stuck on. This is literally one of the big ones that I'm stuck on.
I'm gonna go with the Saints at home. They're on a roll. They've won five consecutive football games. They're 2-1 at home. Only losses against the New England Patriots. I like the Saints at home.
I also like the Saints at home. That place gets rocking. So I'm gonna say the Saints are gonna win this one big, 31-17.
Continuing on my trend of bleakness, I am as well going to say that the Saints come marching in.
Yeah.
Saints come marching in.
I can agree with that.
So we got Saints sweep. We got a Ravens sweep.
The
Rams at the Giants.
The Rams at the Gigantes.
Rams.
Rams are coming off a bye week, right?
Yeah, and the Giants are coming off of the Giants are coming off of a suspension of the Jackrabbit.
Well, that's okay. The Giants they can't win games this year. I got the Rams winning 28-14.
All right, I'm actually going with the Rams too. I think the Rams was actually on my list of brightest. I think the Rams have really surprised people. Most people were writing off Jared Goff after his first season as if a rookie quarterback's supposed to come in and automatically excel. Not everyone's Andrew Luck. Sorry, But I'm definitely going with the Rams as well.
I'm going with the Giants as my upset.
You would go with the Giants, Hank. You would.
Hank secretly
he's just
I'm going with the Giants.
Like,
I'm going with the Giants because they've currently got a lot of turmoil, and I think this is a trap game. I really think this is a trap game for the Rams because they're coming to the East Coast. They're coming to a cold weather climate. Yes, the Giants have a lot of turmoil. Yes, Ben McAdoo has lost the locker room, but I just think that the Rams are going to overlook the Giants a little bit. And I think that the Giants are going to pick Jared Goff off 2 times, and I think they're going to win this game 13-7.
13-7, okay.
Yeah.
Hank thinks this game is going to be 13-7.
I'm already in first place. I can be a little risky,
Yeah. No, okay. What's your next one, Hank?
The Denver Football Broncos on the road, the professional football Broncos at the Philadelphia Eagles.
At the Eagles of Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Hank, why don't we start with you? It's your team. Why don't you give us a little breakdown of what you think?
Again, like I've been doing this whole season, I've been picking the games the way I had it before the season ever started, and I picked the Eagles, so I'm gonna pick them against this really tough Broncos defense. I think the Eagles are going to kick a game-winning field goal as well to win.
Game-winning field goal. I have the I'm riding on this Eagles train, unfortunately, because my guy Carson Wentz. I'm gonna ride this. Let's go with the Eagles. They went big, 27-10.
Also understand Brock Osweiler is starting and not Trevor Seaman.
No, they're going Brock. So that's why I say 27-10.
Yeah, I mean, I fear the unknown, but I mean, the guy wasn't even able to beat out rookie quarterbacks, and he got traded from another team. So, what do you think, Josh?
I am as well going with the Eagles on this. I think the Dirty Birds are gonna wake up early and get the word.
I think that this is gonna be I still think it's gonna be a tough game. You know,
I was about to say, I think this is going to be a tough game. The Denver Broncos is going to be a team fighting for their survival right now because that defense is for real.
Yeah, their defense is for real.
I just think that
their running game is for real.
I just think that Carson Wentz is a little more for real.
Yeah, I'm hoping. All right, so the next game, because we all know that cautious optimism. Falcons at Panthers. Atlanta Falcons at the Panthers. The Falcons are 3-1 away. The Panthers are 1-2 at home.
I got to go with the Falcons here. I really do. This is the time to pull themselves up, take something over, and go beat the team that just traded away one of their receivers. Just go beat them. Just go beat them.
I'm going with the Falcons.
Hank, what do you got?
I'm going with the Falcons.
You got the Falcons too?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with the Falcons as well. They just got beat up by the Patriots. I think that might have been the catalyst for this team to turn it around this year. I know you don't have the best play calling because Shanahan's gone, but I still think that this team can come out with the win this weekend.
All right. And Hank, we go on the next one.
Bengals at Jaguars. I got the Jaguars because they're at home and they've got a beast of a defense.
You know what? That is, I have to go with the Jags too, man. This is it's almost uncharted territory, but they did have a year with Leftwich, a couple years with the other quarterback they had. But I think the Jaguars are going to do it too.
Yeah.
And right now, I believe that Josh is also going to go with the Jaguars.
Okay.
Because me and him, we really don't like Cincinnati, and we think they're going downhill, and I think they're still sliding.
Yeah.
I don't think that Andy Dalton is the real deal anymore.
Indianapolis Colts at the very good 3-4 Houston Texans. I'm going with the Houston Texans. They're 2-2 at home.
Yeah,
the Colts are 0-4 away.
Yeah, I'm going with the Texans too. I think their rookie quarterback can get them through this game.
I think we're pretty much all in agreement on this one. I just think the Colts are a team that's I feel so bad for Andrew Luck. I want him to be better, but
he's not even playing.
The scary thing, no, I know that's what's scary. So this team isn't a team without Andrew Luck.
You're right. They can't do anything.
They can't do anything. I just think that there's too much going on that team. They need too many things to be fixed. I think this year it's going to be a quote-unquote tank year for the Colts. I just don't think they can do enough to pull out a win in the division against the Texans. I think the Texans, plus they're coming off a very tough loss, but a loss where they were right in the game with the Seattle Seahawks, who are always a good team. And going into Seattle and putting on a performance like that has to raise your spirits. I think that the Texans, even though they lost last week, they still come in high this week and they beat the Colts.
Right. Cardinals at 49ers. I am, for the first week in a few weeks, I think I'm going to pick the Niners.
You think that the Cardinals are that just done? You think they're just
the Cardinals?
Over, right?
The Cardinals, looking at it, they're 1-3 away, and the Niners are 0-3 at home.
The Niners always put up you know what, Hank? I'm going with the Niners here too. I think this is where they get their first win. I think a lot of spirits are up right now.
The Cardinals quarterback is Drew Stanton.
Yeah, but Stanton's also delivered. You know, he's kind of like that McCarron type. Stanton's played in the playoff game. He's done pretty well.
No, he didn't do well.
Well, he's done. What I'm saying is that
he's done well. He's done well. Period. He has also started a playoff game. Yes. They are not synonymous with each other.
Exactly, but he is serviceable. So I still think the Niners are going to win this game and get their first win of the year, securing that number 1 spot for the pick for the Browns in the upcoming draft.
Well, this is where I differ on your guys' opinion. I think with Drew Stanton, you go with Adrian Peterson. He's found a new groove. He's had a week off to learn the playbook. Drew Stanton's had a week off to learn the playbook. Cardinals come in, they win this game, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. That's fair enough. So the next one is...
I like to play by the rules.
Right. The Redskins at the Seahawks. I am picking the Seahawks. The Redskins' offensive line is butter.
And the Seahawks are a hot knife. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. So yeah, Seahawks are they're on the rise. This is what they do. Seahawks.
That was easy.
The Kansas City Chiefs at the Dallas Cowboys.
This is one of the more exciting games, I think, this week. If I'm not mistaken, Zeke cannot play this game, right?
He cannot. No, he's suspended for 6 games.
I have to go with the Chiefs. The Chiefs overpower that defense. That offense doesn't know what to do.
I'm looking into the other room. I'm picking the Cowboys.
Hank, I'm gonna put Cowboys asterisk.
That means you're teeter-tottery.
Hank wants to pick his lady. His lady's a Cowboys fan.
I understand that, but the glare that he's getting from
Kelly, we love you and we miss you. Don't worry, we're thinking about you. I think that your Cowboys can beat the Chiefs without Zeke.
I know, and that's just me too. And I'm really losing in the picks, so I have to go with. I got to win.
Can't just go off. He can't go off hope anymore. Hope has not been enough.
I picked the Browns too many times to have this going away. Anyways, next game there, Hank. Hank, are you getting
So the next
one. Hank, are you alive?
Hank?
Yeah, I'm alive. The next one is the Raiders at the Dolphins, and I'm picking the Raiders.
Hank is picking the Raiders. Yeah, my boy. Raiders fan. I'm just kidding. I know you're not a Raiders fan. You're an Eagles fan. Yeah. But DJ, how about you?
I'm going with the Raiders. I have to say that the Raiders are going to pull us around again, but my last prediction saying they're going on a win streak, obviously you could put that into the ground because this team is obviously suffering from something.
They're suffering from a lack of Bill Musgrave as an offensive coordinator.
Ridiculous decision to – oh, my God. Anyways, that's a topic for another day. Hank, what's the next game, please?
I'm picking the Raiders as well, Hank.
The final game is the Lions at the Packers, and I'm going to pick the Lions.
Got to go with the Lions. Have to go with the Lions. This is a game they have to win. If they don't win this game – there's no season.
That's the end of it.
Yeah.
This is their chance to strike the jugular of the NFC North because you have Mitch Trubisky, rookie. Aaron Rodgers-less Packers,
and
what's his name?
The Vikings quarterback.
Who's the
Chase Hundley?
Hundley, and then you have the Vikings who have they can't even decide or. They can't even get through who's going to start because you have Case Keenum, a third stringer, because you have Sam Bradford, your backup, who's hurt, and then you have Teddy Bridgewater, who's coming back from an injury. So what do you do? And what are the Lions doing? They're sitting back. So this week they need to strike, go straight at the Packers, and knock the Packers down a notch while they don't have Aaron Rodgers, and they need to win this game.
Yeah. So those are all the picks we have, and unless you guys have anything else to say, I'm pretty good.
I just want to give a quick update to all you Dodger haters out there. The Houston Astros are now up in the top of the ninth, 5-1 in Game 7 of the World Series. It's easy. Tune in right now if you haven't.
And I have one more thing to say. finally, in week 9 of the NFL season, the Browns will not lose.
No, but according to NFL memes, we will still lose to the bye week by 7 points.
Josh Gordon will get suspended again.
Yeah, well, he already is for 3 games. But anyways, guys, thanks for listening. This has been Two Birds and a Third. DJ, Josh, Hank, we're here for you. Let us know. Like us on Facebook.
Follow us on Instagram. And Twitter. See us on Twitter. Tweet us. Twiddle us. YouTube us. We're there.
Don't twiddle us.
For you.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Signing off. Bye, guys.
Bye.